Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Podcast in the description. Check it out.
All right. Matt Mayoko wrote this on Twitter. Jimmy Garoppolo has a no-trade clause. He also is due $25.5 million in salary and bonuses. I believe he'll be the Niners starter to start the season, but if there were a trade possibility, he would certainly waive the trade clause. Otherwise, he would not get that kind of money. So this is to say, if you're bringing up a no-trade clause as a reason Jimmy Garoppolo is going to remain on the Niners, you can go ahead and throw that one out the window. If he stays on the Niners, it's not going to have anything to do with a no-trade clause. By the way, sneaky, he also said, I think he's going to be the starter. That's really the headline. But
yeah, I think if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you are rooting and praying. And I think you're in the clear now. You really have the one date. I guess Sam Darnold would be potential. But if they don't get Deshaun Watson, because Russell's quieted down, but we just know the Niners are not an option. If you told me Russell Wilson's traded, how much would you be willing to bet that he's not traded or like traded to the Niners or not traded? I was like, I'd bet every penny I have that he would not end up on the Niners if he is traded, right? Yeah. But there is the draft date that I think if you're Jimmy, you're just kind of loosely looking at. And then if they were to draft a guy, he would have value because some of these teams, more than likely, there aren't enough quarterbacks to go around, are going to need a quarterback. Then, like what Mayoko's saying, and you and I talk, like, what would if Jimmy was a free agent right now? Would someone give him a multi-year deal? A true, not like a Teddy Bridgewater, 3 for $60, but it was 20 guaranteed. So I was like, yeah, it's a 1-year deal. Because Teddy's all up in arms right now. Teddy's like, you guys gave me 3 years. You're trying to trade me. He's like, Teddy, you got like a Mike Glennon contract, bro.
So I think
I like Teddy.
Yeah, no, I think Jimmy's more valuable than Marcus Mariota. I don't know if I think we disagree about that, but
he got a 1-year, basically $7 million contract. Like he could get cut for nothing.
I think Jimmy would get like a year and $15 million.
Well, if Mariota was a free agent, would someone give him $10 million right now? Because Gruden was a little bit of an outlier on that one.
Maybe that'd be the ceiling though. Because I just don't. You can't bring him in to be your starting quarterback, and you can't pay your backup $10 million, especially not in 2021.
I think a team would look at it like, let's just pay you what you just made, 7. We'll just go from there.
Mariota. Okay, so what do you think Jimmy would get?
You're right. He's better, but Mariota's played way more. Jimmy gets hurt a lot. I mean, I think a team would really push to try to get like that 10 to 12 range and incentivize it up to whatever his contract, like $25 million if you play all the games. I think they would try to do like the Richard Sherman deal they signed with the Niners. Like, bro, we'll pay you $28 million if you're a starter on a playoff team. But yeah, probably 12 to 15 in true money, and then it'd be incentivized heavily. But supply demand. I just wonder, like, some of these GMs, what's the incentive to risk it on Jimmy? Like, we know for what Mayoko's saying is 100% a fact. He is not getting $25 million just as a free agent.
I agree. The incentive to what I mean is, so are you saying 25 is a risk or 15 would be a risk?
I'm saying that 25, his incentive right now would be to immediately, if the Niners traded for a quarterback in the draft, and it was clear like Adam Schefter, they're going to deal him more than likely to the Patriots or the Bears in the next 24 hours. It would be in Jimmy's best interest to waive the fucking no trade clause, unless Bill told them like they could do something shady where he's like, don't waive it. We're not going to trade anything for you. They'll cut you, and then we'll sign you to like 2 years, $45 million, and maybe guaranteed 20. But even then, like, I guess that would be the one complication, but I think that he would waive it to go somewhere for the money.
I think he'd have to.
Yeah.
But to your point,
unless there was a backroom deal, Donnie, Belichick,
Yeah, well, see, that's where it would be. How many teams would want him? And if there aren't any, if it turns into like a Colts-Carson situation where there's only one place he's going to go.
I think you owe it to Bill. He gave him to you. Just give him back. Right.
Yeah, I mean the Bears could be in a desperate situation, but I don't know how to me trading for him and also taking on $25 million. That's a lot of money for Jimmy Garoppolo in 2021. If he's been your quarterback, then you don't really think about it. Like if he's the Niners quarterback,
makes the most sense for New England.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, but I just to me the idea that he would have to get cut in the end is not out of the realm of possibility.
I'm with you.
Given that $25 million when he's your quarterback on the Niners, you go, whatever, this is what we paid him. We went to the Super Bowl. You don't really think about the money as much as you would if you're acquiring him. You're going, we're acquiring a guy that's not a sure thing. We're going to pay him $25 million. That's where I wonder if I think I feel like his play, like he's worth a third-round pick maybe, but his contract might keep you from getting that. And the demand because of his contract might be like the Colts, where it's like in the end there was one team that was going to get him.
Well, and think about this. With Mariota, his number is dramatically lower. So Jimmy's is almost, 2.5 times that. By the time, in my scenario, assuming that it doesn't happen now with Deshaun Watson, because if it does, then I think they could trade him now. Why? Because there's a lot of cap space out there. Well, come late April, what if the Patriots have signed 3 or 4 guys? They didn't even have the space. They couldn't even take him on, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, right? What if they signed 3 or 4 players?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they have,
they
12 million in cap space. They would go from 60 to 12, and they force his hand. Same with the Bears don't have that much to begin with. But by April, whatever, right now to me, unless you're the Saints and 70 million over, I'm yeah, they probably won't sign too many free agents, even when they cut everybody. You have a pretty good idea who's got some money. By the time the draft comes around, it's not well, this team's 40 over, but they can make. No, that's not really the case. You can cut a guy or two, but your cap space is a little bit of your cap space. So I think it would be yeah, the Niners might have to cut this player. Because when Josh Rosen was traded the day after they drafted Kyler Murray, when you're the 10th pick in the draft, your number's not that high. Remember? You're right. I thought he'd be a lock to be traded, but if we're talking about the draft time, that does change the logistics of the cash. Maybe they would
unless you attach a pick to him.
But my point is, what if the team doesn't have hey guys, I don't have the space.
Then you might have a player trade, a player for player trade somehow.
Something like that.
They send you a $15 million.
What if the Niners don't have the space?
Well, yeah, but I know. Well, that's where if you take on Deshaun, you couldn't do it. But if you drafted a quarterback, if you're the Niners,
then it frees you up a lot more.
$15 million player back, something like that.
But you see where I'm going? It could get a little complicated by the draft. It's not out of the realm of possibility he got cut if they draft Justin Fields, right?
Well, no.
Even if the team wanted to trade for him, but they're just we can't. So you got to cut him.
Well, he might get kept if they draft Justin Fields too. We've talked about that. I don't think he would, but he could.
I would say to me that if they trade up to get a player, I would put him getting kept. I'd have to put it under 15% because would you want Jimmy around that guy?
Did you say 5-0 or 1-5?
1-5. The pressure.
Jimmy, I don't think Jimmy would be bad around him, but it's just.
But it is a little weird immediately.
How ready it is. Just a matter of how ready you think he is.
I think it's understandable, even with a great of a player like Rodgers, when the guy's 35 plus. I think when you're in the Derek Jimmy, you saw it with Wentz, same age, right?
Yeah. Alex Smith is not normal.
No, but Alex, remember, was 34, 35. I think when you're 27 to 29 range, that's the prime probably of when you're making big money, of your ego being pretty big. That creates a problem.
Yeah.
Carson couldn't handle it. I don't think Derek would handle it well, and I think Jimmy would fake it, handle it well, and it'd be ugly.
But the question you ask is just,
I don't blame those guys
ready to be? Is Justin Fields ready to be? If we're talking about Fields, is he ready to be a leader? Is he ready to be your quarterback? And maybe he is. Rookies tend to be. We saw Shanahan with RG3, all that. But again, watching the Wentz thing play out just makes me wonder. I think it's all these places for quarterbacks to go until there aren't, and it happens all the time. Where there's all these places and there's all these guys, and in the end, there was only a couple places each guy could have gone.
I think it's always easy, and we do it. I would do it, and I've said it forever. I'm changing my tune a little bit. I used to drop, just be a pro. It's what you get paid for, and that's what went. Carson, be a pro. Well, he couldn't, and he fell apart, and now they had to trade him for fucking peanuts. Yeah. Jimmy, just be a pro. Well, he can barely be a pro because he can barely stay on the field. He's trying to figure his own shit out. Now he's got fucking Justin Fields breathing down his neck every day in meeting rooms. Kyle's slapping him on the butt and yelling at Jimmy. You do realize it could get weird fast.
Absolutely. In practice, it's easy to say all that stuff, but do you want that in your locker room? Yes or no?
Even just at the lunch room, just everything. It's
just the media sessions.
Justin's over there with Ayuk and Debo. Why isn't they sitting with me?
How about in the media? Right.
What does Kittle do?
Whoever's the starter.
Yeah, it's an easy one.
Both of them.
When I was driving to Davis, the Zenny ad, he got one in Vacaville.
Really?
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet one.
All right, Zenny. We haven't given up on you.
Yeah, Zenny spent a lot of money on billboards.